I never thought I'd be the one to witness my stepmother's complete downfall. But here I am, about to tell you the most unbelievable story of family drama you've ever heard. My name is Sarah, and I'm 22 years old. For the past 5 years, I've been living with the most insufferable woman on the planet, my stepmother, Patricia. She married my dad when I was 17, right after my mom passed away from cancer. At first, I thought she genuinely cared about us. But boy, was I wrong. Patricia is what you'd call a textbook Karen. She's 45, has that signature speak to the manager haircut, drives a white BMW SUV, and treats service workers like they're beneath her. She's the type of person who complains about her food being too hot, then complains when they bring it back because it's too cold. Living with her has been absolute torture. But Patricia had everyone fooled. In our affluent neighborhood in Westchester County, New York, she was known as the perfect wife and community volunteer. She organized charity events, led the homeowners association, and always had a smile plastered on her face when neighbors were around. My dad, bless his heart, was completely blind to her true nature. He worked long hours at his accounting firm and rarely witnessed her outbursts. It was a typical Tuesday morning in October when everything started to unravel. I was home from college for fall break, and Patricia was in full Karen mode. She'd already screamed at the mailman for being 5 minutes late, left a 1-star review for the local coffee shop because they ran out of her favorite pastry, and was now on the phone with customer service for the 3rd time this week. This is absolutely unacceptable. She shrieked into her iPhone. I demand to speak to your supervisor immediately. Do you know who I am? I'm Patricia Williams, and I will not be treated like this. I rolled my eyes and grabbed my keys. I couldn't stand being in the same house as her when she was like this. As I headed toward the door, she covered the phone and hissed at me. Where do you think you're going, young lady? We need to discuss your attitude lately. I'm 22, Patricia. I don't need your permission to leave, I replied, not bothering to hide my annoyance. Her face turned red with rage. As long as you're living under this roof, you'll show me respect. I'm your mother now, whether you like it or not. You'll never be my mother, I shot back and walked out, slamming the door behind me. I decided to drive to the local shopping center to grab lunch and get some peas. What I didn't expect was to witness the most spectacular public meltdown of Patricia's life. As I pulled into the parking lot of Trader Joe's, I spotted her distinctive white BMW in the fire lane, hazard lights blinking. My heart sank. I knew this couldn't be good. Inside the store, I could hear raised voices coming from the customer service counter. Sure enough, there was Patricia, red-faced and gesticulating wildly at a teenage employee who couldn't have been older than 17. You people are absolutely incompetent, she screamed. I bought this yogurt yesterday, and it expires tomorrow. That's unacceptable. I want a full refund and compensation for my time. The poor kid behind the counter was practically trembling. Ma'am, the expiration date is clearly marked, and our policy, don't you dare quote policy to me. Patricia interrupted, I know the owner of this store. I'll have your job. What's your name? Give me your manager immediately. Other customers were starting to stare and whisper. I felt secondhand embarrassment creeping up my neck. A manager appeared, a calm, professional woman in her 30s. How can I help you today, ma'am? The manager asked politely. Finally, someone with actual authority, Patricia snarled. This incompetent child sold me expired yogurt and is now refusing to help me. I demand a full refund, a formal apology, and this employee to be fired immediately. The manager examined the yogurt container. Ma'am, this expires in 2 days, which is within our normal range. Our policy clearly states, I don't care about your policy. Patricia's voice reached a new octave. Do you know who I am? I'm Patricia Williams. I've spent thousands of dollars in this store. I'm a respected member of this community. That's when things took a dramatic turn. Patricia grabbed the yogurt container and hurled it at the wall behind the counter. The plastic container exploded, sending yogurt splashing across the wall, the floor, and unfortunately, onto the manager's shirt. The entire store went silent. Even I gasped audibly from my hiding spot behind the cereal aisle. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, the manager said firmly, yogurt dripping from her clothes. You can't make me leave. I'm a paying customer. Patricia shrieked. Actually, we can, the manager replied, pulling out her phone. And I'm calling the police for assault. Patricia's face went white. Assault? He can't be serious. It was just yogurt. But the manager was already dialing. I watched in fascination and horror as my stepmother's perfect facade crumbled before my eyes. Within 10 minutes, 2 police officers arrived at the store. I quickly moved to get a better view while staying hidden behind a display of seasonal decorations. Officers, thank goodness you're here. Patricia immediately launched into her victim act. These people are harassing me. I'm just trying to return a defective product, and they're being completely unreasonable. Officer Martinez, a no-nonsense woman in her 40s, looked unimpressed. Ma'am, we received a call about an assault. Can you tell us what happened here? The manager stepped forward, still wearing her yogurt-stained shirt. This customer became belligerent when we explained our return policy. She threw a container of yogurt at the wall, and it splashed all over me and the store. That's not what happened, Patricia protested. I barely tossed it, and it was an accident. These people are lying. Officer Martinez looked around at the yogurt-covered wall and floor, then at the dozen witnesses who had gathered. Ma'am, did you throw the yogurt container? Well, yes, but did you throw it intentionally? Patricia's mouth opened and closed like a fish. I was frustrated. You don't understand the kind of treatment I've received here. The second officer, Officer Johnson, was already taking statements from witnesses. I heard one customer say, she was screaming at that poor kid for 20 minutes before she threw it. Ma'am, I'm going to need to see your identification, Officer Martinez said calmly. Patricia's face turned purple. This is outrageous. Do you know who I am? I'm Patricia Williams. I'm married to Robert Williams from Williams & Associates. I volunteer at the hospital. I organize charity events. Your identification, please, the officer repeated, unmoved by Patricia's credentials. With shaking hands, Patricia fumbled through her designer purse and handed over her license. As Officer Martinez ran it through her system, Patricia continued her tirade. This is all a misunderstanding. I'm being persecuted. I want to speak to your supervisor. I know the police chief personally. Officer Johnson returned from taking statements. He whispered something to his partner, and I saw Officer Martinez nod grimly. Ma'am, you're under arrest for assault and disorderly conduct, Officer Martinez announced, pulling out her handcuffs. Patricia's shriek could probably be heard 3 blocks away. What? You can't arrest me. This is insane. I'm a pillar of this community. You have the right to remain silent, Officer Martinez began as she cuffed Patricia's hands behind her back. I will not remain silent, Patricia screamed. This is police brutality. I'm being targeted because I'm white. This is discrimination. The officers exchanged a look. Officer Martinez was clearly experienced in dealing with entitled individuals having public meltdowns. As they escorted Patricia toward the exit, she spotted me lurking behind the Halloween display. Our eyes met for a split second, and I saw pure fury flash across her face. Sarah, she screeched. Sarah, call your father. Tell him what they're doing to me. Every person in that store turned to look at me. I felt my face burn with embarrassment as I realized everyone now knew I was related to this woman having a complete breakdown. I did the only thing I could do. I pretended not to hear her and ducked behind a tower of pumpkin spice cookies. The drive home felt like the longest 20 minutes of my life. My hands were shaking as I gripped the steering wheel, replaying the entire scene in my head. Part of me felt vindicated. Finally, someone had put Patricia in her place. But another part of me was dreading what came next. I knew I had to call my dad. He was in meetings all day, completely unaware that his wife was currently sitting in a jail cell for assaulting a grocery store employee with dairy products. When I got home, I paced around our living room for 15 minutes, trying to figure out how to break this news. How do you tell your father that his wife was just arrested for having a Karen meltdown at Trader Joe's? Finally, I dialed his office number. Williams & Associates. This is Robert Williams speaking. Dad, it's Sarah. Are you sitting down, Sarah? Honey, you sound upset. What's wrong? I took a deep breath. Dad, Patricia's been arrested. The silence on the other end of the line lasted so long that I thought the call had dropped. Dad, are you there? Arrested? His voice was barely a whisper. For what? She had a meltdown at Trader Joe's. She threw yogurt at the wall. It hit the manager, and the police arrested her for assault and disorderly conduct. Another long pause. There has to be some mistake. Sarah, Patricia would never. Dad, I was there. I saw the whole thing. She was screaming at a teenage employee, demanding they be fired, calling the manager incompetent. When they wouldn't give her what she wanted, she threw a container of yogurt at the wall. I heard my dad's chair creak as he presumably sat down hard. Where is she now? He asked quietly. I assume she's at the county jail. Dad, it was really bad. She was screaming about being a pillar of the community and name-dropping everyone she could think of. The whole store was staring. Oh God, he whispered. Sarah, please don't tell anyone about this. I need to figure out how to handle this situation. Too late for that, I thought. Half the neighborhood probably already knew, thanks to social media and good old-fashioned gossip. I'll try to keep it quiet, Dad, but there were a lot of witnesses. And knowing Patricia, she probably made sure everyone knew her full name. My dad sighed heavily. I'll leave work early and see about getting her released. Can you not mention this to anyone until I get home? Of course, Dad, but you should probably prepare yourself. This might not stay quiet for long. After we hung up, I collapsed onto the couch. The house felt eerily peaceful without Patricia's constant complaining and dramatic sighs. For the first time in years, I could actually relax in my own home, but I knew this peace wouldn't last. When Patricia got home, there would be hell to pay. 3 hours later, I heard Dad's car pull into the driveway. I braced myself for Patricia's grand entrance, expecting her to storm through the door, ranting about police brutality and false imprisonment. Instead, I heard the car doors close quietly, followed by hushed voices on the front porch. When they finally came inside, Patricia looked, defeated. Her perfectly styled hair was disheveled. Her makeup was smeared, and she was still wearing the same clothes from this morning, now wrinkled and stained. Dad looked exhausted. His usually pristine appearance was rumpled, and there were stress lines around his eyes that I'd never noticed before. "Sarah," he said quietly, "we need to talk. All of us." Patricia hadn't looked at me once since walking in. She sat heavily on the couch, staring at her hands. "Patricia has something she wants to say to you," Dad continued. I waited, but Patricia remained silent. Dad cleared his throat. "Patricia." Finally, she looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. I'm sorry you had to see that today. It wasn't exactly an apology for her behavior, just regret that I'd witnessed it." Typical Patricia, never truly accepting responsibility. "The charges are being dropped," Dad announced. The store manager agreed not to press charges in exchange for Patricia paying for the cleanup, writing a formal apology, and agreeing to shop elsewhere. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. "But that's not the end of it," Dad continued, running his hands through his hair. "Sarah, you need to know that this incident ... has already spread through social media. Someone filmed part of it and posted it online." My stomach dropped. "How bad is it?" Patricia finally spoke up, her voice cracking. "It's everywhere. The neighborhood Facebook group, Instagram, TikTok. Everyone's calling me Trader Joe's Karen. My phone hasn't stopped buzzing with messages." I pulled out my phone and quickly searched Trader Joe's Karen Westchester. Sure enough, there it was. A video of Patricia in full meltdown mode, screaming about being a pillar of the community while yogurt dripped down the wall behind her. The video had already been viewed thousands of times, with hundreds of comments roasting her behavior. "Oh my God," I whispered, scrolling through the brutal comments. "The hospital called," Patricia continued, her voice barely audible. "I've been asked to step down from the volunteer coordinator position. The charity board wants to meet tomorrow to discuss my involvement in the upcoming fundraiser. And Helen Morrison already texted me saying the Homeowners Association is considering my removal as president." I looked at my dad, who appeared to be aging before my eyes. "How did this happen?" he asked, more to himself than to us. "Patricia, I don't understand. The woman I married would never behave like this." Patricia finally broke down completely. "I don't know," she sobbed. I've been so angry lately, so frustrated with everything. Nothing ever goes right, and people never listen to me. I thought if I just demanded better service, better treatment." "You humiliated a teenage employee who was just doing his job," I said quietly. "You assaulted his manager with yogurt. You got yourself arrested over a $2 container of Greek yogurt that wasn't even expired." "I know," she wailed. "I know it was stupid, but I was so angry, and they were being so unreasonable." Dad sat down heavily next to her. "Patricia, this isn't just about today. Sarah's been telling me for years that you treat service workers poorly, that you're always complaining and making scenes. I didn't want to see it, but now," he gestured helplessly at my phone, which was still displaying the viral video of his wife's meltdown. "Now the whole world can see it," he finished. The room fell silent except for Patricia's quiet crying. I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and pity. This was the woman who had made my life miserable for 5 years, who had treated me like an unwelcome guest in my own home, who had bullied countless innocent workers just trying to do their jobs. But seeing her completely broken like this, watching my dad's disappointment and embarrassment, I couldn't help but feel a little sorry for her. "So what happens now?" I asked. Dad looked at Patricia, then at me. "Now we figure out how to move forward. Patricia clearly needs help managing her anger and her expectations. and I need to figure out how I missed this for so long. Patricia looked up at both of us with mascara-streaked cheeks. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for embarrassing you. Robert. I'm sorry for making your life difficult. Sarah. I don't know how to fix this. For the first time since she'd married my father, Patricia Williams looked genuinely vulnerable and human. The perfect facade had crumbled completely, taking her reputation, her social standing, and her sense of superiority with it. As I watched her sit there, destroyed by her own actions and the power of social media, I realized that sometimes karma doesn't need any help. Sometimes people create their own downfall, one entitled outburst at a time. The woman who had spent years demanding to speak to managers had finally met her match in the court of public opinion. And unlike all those customer service representatives she'd terrorized over the years, the internet wasn't backing down.